check my weather today. I didn't. Well, I kept hearing some rumblings at work. And sometimes it'll rain out here when I'm at work. And Mom and Jail ain't seen a drop of water. You know how that is. But it's raining the forecast tomorrow and Thursday. Well, both that night. Well, till next week, actually.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got 5 o'clock, so we'll call this work session of the Enterprise City Council to order. Let the record show that all members of the council are present. Mr. Telos, you want to update us on our third quarter goals?
Yes, sir. Mayor and council members, if you'll look at your Vision 2025 Q3 goals, we're still moving along and having a lot of progress on our Parks and Rec maintenance facility. It's still on schedule to be completed this quarter. We have had a lot of projects going on where our public works crews have been everywhere from PV Park to City Hall, and this is one of those projects. So if you don't see an update there, we're waiting to complete the parking and fencing still, but we're doing that as crews become available and manpower becomes available. Our Rucker Boulevard redevelopment meeting, that was completed. I saw many of you at that meeting, and I thought it was productive. We do have some next steps that will involve engaging stakeholders. So at this point, I know the District 4 and 5 council members
Yes.
have been contacted by Jason Fondren,
Yep.
as well as
Talked
Aaron
to him today.
Grantham from the chamber. They've asked to speak to somebody from Fort Rucker and 2 or 3 other contacts, and that'll be the initial reach out from KPS to the stakeholders. So I anticipate over the next 30 to 60 days, we'll have those meetings individually, and then grab another stakeholder meeting of groups all together and get moving on a plan to move forward.
Yeah, and I think Scotty and I both can vouch that that's ongoing. He talked to him today, and I've got a Zoom call with him tomorrow afternoon, so that is ongoing.
Okay. Complete City Hall, August 11th. Still on track to do that if you've been by lately. I know many of you still have some things in your mailboxes, so some of you haven't been by recently, but it is making some progress. You're starting to see City Hall, what it's going to look like, kind of take shape. The parking lot, I think they were working on striping the back of the parking lot today when I left. They're done? Yep. So day by day. So we are very excited about that, and we're very excited for the public to come in and utilize that space and all that it has to offer. So Phase 5 street resurfacing, I'm marked substantially complete on that. All the streets have been resurfaced that were in Phase 5, but some of these parking lots that we're doing, including City Hall, are still what we're waiting on to close that out, and some small punch list items that Glenn's working on for Phase 5. Selecting budget Phase 6 street resurfacing. Those streets, that list has been tentatively produced, so all we're waiting on now is our budget hearing on the 14th to make sure that those streets and the budgeted amount are set into the budget, and ultimately when the council votes on that, that'll be completed. You have update on customer service experience and nuisance property updates. Both of those I have scheduled for the second meeting in September. Old Coppinville agreement is still with Enterprise City Schools. One of the delaying factors may or may not be the start of school, but our city attorney has reached out a couple of times to their new board attorney, and I believe that he may be drinking from a little bit of a fire hose right now coming on with school coming back.
Who is their new attorney?
Ashley?
I mean, it's not. Y'all can tell me offline. I was just curious if y'all.
I believe it is Chris Maddox and David.
Okay.
So the library study and PCI study, both of those are in the budget books that Leanne is providing for you. Leanne, do you know when those are going to be ready for council to pick up? Okay. So those budget folders will be available to pick up on Monday from City Hall. Complete the soccer complex. So I marked third quarter, so most of you were at the ribbon cutting that we had for the college side, is what I'm calling it, but we're going to have another ribbon cutting over the next couple of weeks over on the PV side. So third quarter, I just marked that whole complex will be complete. There'll be some future budgeted items on there if the council approves that, to go ahead and complete the lighting, walking trail, and those kind of things as well. Barry has done a really good job, as well as the Public Works Department and Parks and Rec, keeping that PV side on track and under budget. I think we're going to be all in on that side for about 1.2 or 1.3 million. And if you recall, a lot of that cost savings for the work that we did in-house and some creative engineering solutions that we did to remodel the restroom facility out there. Put that in perspective, it was just over 5 mil, or just about 5 million, 4.8 million to complete the college side. And we should get that area out there paved as well as part of this paving contract.
Nice.
We received some very good quotes on the paving. So the Weeda Street Park improvements complete. I celebrated the ribbon cutting on that a few weeks ago. Funding for engineering on the southern bypass, that is complete. We estimate they're about 30% on their design plans for that. Complete outdoor fitness center. Again, that is complete. If you go by PV Park, we are scheduling a time that's convenient for Blue Cross and Blue Shield to come out. They were part of that. If you recall, they gave us $50,000 as a grant that went into that project. So we're working with them on a time to do a grand opening for that fitness center. Airport Road relocation for County Road 606. There should be something about that on your agenda tonight, but moving forward with the FAA, and we anticipate them letting that project sometime, actually not letting, but bidding on that project sometime in the next 60 days. Is that right, Barry? The airport, County Road 606, they're going to bid that project. Is that right? I'm sorry. County Road 606, they've already let it. They're going to go to bid.
Yes, I talked to the FAA recently. We should be getting the grant agreement in place to bring back to council for a vote. I'm expecting the next 30 days for the grant agreement. As soon as that grant agreement's good to go, we'll award the contract to the contractor, and that project will move forward. I'm anticipating that we'll get started on that probably October of this year.
Thanks, Barry. A-Trip project, again, last we heard, it's been pushed to October. That was delays on the material side for that, but that will be a signalized intersection, completely in AlDOT's hand at this point to move forward once the materials get here. Enterprise State Community College Workforce Development Center, I will schedule Danny to come in at a meeting here this month, unless you want to have that as one of the, President Long will be at our budget meeting on the 14th. I don't know if you'd like him to give you an update at that time or during a work session. It would be germane to the budget talks, though, because we are appropriating $500,000 a year to the college to complete that center. So I don't know what your...
Is anybody opposed to just having that update in that work session? If that's what he wants to do, tell him that that's fine with us.
Okay. Main Street lighting project at the end of September. Should be materials by the 20th of August or so. All the lights should be in. So that next week, I would anticipate at the end of August, we start hanging the new lights into the downtown area. So that, if you recall, that was something Councilman Goolsby brought to the attention of staff. The lighting down there, we did a study, a photometric study, and it was inadequate for safety reasons. So we're trying to upgrade the lighting for all the ornate poles in the downtown district. I think it's 160 lights. So it should be a big change once that project's complete. Phase 1 wayfinding project is still with AlDOT. We had a call with them today. Barry is sending them the bid documents on that so that they can review them to make sure that the signage is in compliance with AlDOT standards. Rucker Boulevard connectivity study. We are still waiting on the landowners to come back with the corridor that was identified. If you recall, I think KPS and then Sane did a deeper dive into that route. So we have some property owners that are willing to work with the city, but we're waiting to hear if they've got all of the property owners that they need to make that connection from Porter Lunsford Road to Rucker Boulevard. If and when that comes back, we'll have a better idea of how to proceed on the next steps. Report from staff on railroad right-of-way maintenance. We did have a brief conversation about that, Councilwoman Rich, but are you still wanting a more in-depth assessment of that?
Not, I mean, they took care of what I was
Okay.
basically inquiring about.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
That's fine.
So I'll mark that as complete. And then Daleville Avenue, that road, that dip in the road, that has been fixed, but did we have other plans to do more?
We're going to monitor it and possibly go back to the
Okay. So Barry just said that they're going to continue to monitor that. We think that there was, I think, a sewer or water line that had kind of caused that depression. So they're going to continue to monitor it, and they may go back and repave it if there's any other settling issues there. We did get some generally upbeat movement on the 167 in Salem update. So when we talked to AlDOT today, we talked to Aaron White, that intersection, they know that there's an issue there and may warrant signalization at some point in the future. They recommended to hold tight and wait until they start moving forward. If you recall, 3 years ago, Senator Britt had appropriated about $20 million to continue that 4-lane of 167 North. And so, you know, that was 3 years ago. The funding first became available last year, and then they had to go through NEPA and some other environmental issues and then do engineering and design work. So over the next year or so, maybe 18 months, some of those funds will start being available to be expended. And I believe as they go through that process, they're going to evaluate that intersection, and some of those funds may go towards improving or signalizing that intersection. So I think that is something that, you know, we need to monitor, but I think action by AlDOT's already being contemplated to take care of that intersection. So we'll continue to monitor that progress and report it back, but I don't know that there's anything more that the city could do to accelerate what they're already doing to try to improve that intersection.
While you were talking to them, any word on the status out here? I know they've made some good progress down the hill here.
I do not have, I mean, they're working,
Yeah.
but no, I don't. The other interesting thing that they did say, though, on the safety front, is that they had about $350,000 programmed to do engineering work on the section of Boll Weevil Circle between Walmart and Rucker Boulevard. And so that will fund the engineering piece of it to kind of deliver a solution.
Nice.
They felt like if there was going to be funding delivered for that project through safety or other means, that it would be in late, maybe third, fourth quarter of 2026. So.
For the actual project, but
For the
not,
actual
not
project.
the designs.
Not the designs, for the actual project.
Designs will be,
But between now and
Yeah,
and
okay.
at some point, they would let the project presumably.
I've got one thing. While we're on Salem, I've had a couple people approach me that they still have trucks that will come down. I took a ride up on where 51 is, and by Turtleback is what it is. That sign seems like the guy says what happens is they make the turn come down, and the sign's a little further down, and so they can't turn around. So I didn't know if that sign could be moved up. And then the same thing at Salem and Shellfield, That one's down the road too, to where the trucks are making the turning, oh, I got to go. And then maybe that one could be pushed back up towards there. Now, I did see the one by the Legacy Station, which is just on the other side. So if they come off 167, they're going to see the sign right there, and then they can turn right into Legacy. I understand that one.
These are on city streets.
Yes, on Salem Road.
I don't, Barry, if we could get somebody to go out there and look, we can move those, right? We don't need.
Yeah, they're ours. There's no truck route or no truck through.
There was some looking at the locations previously when we put those things up. I don't have them off the top of my head right now, but there was reasons why we did that, but I'll be glad to go out there, Mr. Councilman, and look at those again and see if we can move those up closer to the intersection if possible. If it is, we'll get that.
That's what I told these folks down in that area. I said, there's probably a reason why it's right where it is, but maybe we can move it back so they don't turn and then go, oh, how do I back up and get out of here?
I'll be
When you
glad
get
to
the
look at, if we can move them, we will move them. If not, I'll send you out
Yeah.
an email and tell you why we cannot do that.
I figured it's probably a distance requirement, so,
We'll check it, sir.
thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
One other thing, Mr. Tullis or Mr. Mott, about the 167, I've been asked lots of times about the trucks, but the road at on the end of, where Salem and 167 is, it's really in bad shape. Is that something that?
Is it still
we're waiting
in-
on ALDOT to do
It is.
to repair
So
that?
AlDOT's responsible, and I don't remember exactly how many feet, but I think it's something like 50 feet from the road. They were supposed to send someone out there, and I haven't ridden by to check, but
Right, I remember our last meeting or so, they were coming the next Friday, but
yeah,
that's
I'll
been-
It's
that's
still
been 3
bad.
Fridays ago, and I got my asking about that specifically because I heard you say something about
It's
an
still-
extended
it's still
amount of
not
time.
fixed?
It won't wait that long.
It's still not fixed.
Okay. I'll ping Aaron when the council meeting's over. I'll send him an email. And then on the green space for College Street and Old Junior property, again, that's going to be as part of the scope of work that KPS is helping us out with on the Rucker Boulevard connector. We're also evaluating that part of the comprehensive plan. If you recall, one of the things that talked about green space, where we have it, where we don't have it. And so I've asked specifically for Jason to dive into that property. It's a piece of property the city owns. It used to be Old Junior, I believe.
Correct.
And, really, what do we do with that property? And if it was going to be green space or whatever, how could we incorporate that into that comprehensive plan for the city? And so I would anticipate here over the next 30 days or something, having something back to you guys, probably not the next council meeting, but maybe the first in September on that.
All right, any other questions on our third quarter goals? All right, thank you. If y'all will turn to me in your regular meeting packets, we'll review the agenda for tonight's regular meeting. Of course, we'll open with roll call, prayer, pledge of allegiance, approve the agenda, then move to the consent agenda. Y'all stop me if we need to stop on any of these consent agenda items, but we've got work session minutes, meeting minutes from July 15th, accounts payable A and B, and contract billings for Southeast Construction. That's for the Phase 5 for FY 25 resurfacing plan, and also Poly Incorporated invoices for Enterprise Commerce Park and the same resurfacing project. Then Barge Design Solutions for the Airport Life Flight hangar. They're working on design for that. Then we've got travel requests from Leanne Schwartz, Tammy Dorr, Barry Mott. Barry's going to 2 different conferences, and then municipal court for Judge Sherling and Tammy Stuckey. And then we've got, I'm not going to read the list of abandoned property for the airport there. Actually, it's just 2 items. Any questions about the consent agenda? Everybody should have gotten that documentation last week. All right, then there's a few presentations here. We've got a certificate of achievement for Lucas Garrard, and extra mile award for Lila Falk, then privilege of the floor and staff reports. We've got a ABC, going into old business, we've got an ABC license request for Dickey's Barbecue Pit. Then new business, we've got just to approve our financial audit. Of course, we were all here for the presentation of that. So I assume everybody's good with approving that audit report tonight. That's just more something that we do every year, is approve that report after hearing it. Then we've got some planning commission recommendations and hearings that we're going to introduce tonight. That's Boyd Engineering for Stephen Howard Franks and Randy Frank Shannon. Then the same people from Boyd, all three of them it's three pieces of property that they're wanting to annex into the city. Sounds like we may have some folks show up at that hearing, but that's not going to be until September, right?
You know, we had some folks there during city planning and
Yep.
concerns, so Barry knows that, and so does Thomas. They heard that. In fact,
Yep.
Thomas might want to.
Yep. You can be brief on that tonight, Thomas.
But it was
go
unanimous.
ahead and give us a preview, but be brief with it.
Yes, sir. So I really just wanted to clarify with the parcels. It's actually one piece of property. 83 acres was already in the city limits.
Okay.
Top section, bottom section were not. They were in the county. That's what we're looking at annexing, and then the large 83-acre parcel to rezone it. And so that would be about 116 acres all to R1.
Gotcha. All right, well, looks like we've got a month, or September 2nd, so it'll be 2 meetings from now, 4 weeks from tonight, to gather information on that and talk to anybody that you feel you need to talk to. So we'll skip down to review and consider resolution 080525, which is to appoint election officers. Everybody should have gotten this list on Friday. I believe this was assembled together by our city clerk, Beverly, with the help of some of the inspectors, right? Does anybody have any questions on this list? Everybody good with it? It looks like a good diverse group of candidates from around the city, and these people also have a lot of election experience, right? That's always comforting. So, all right, then we've got, so we talked about this earlier, an airport improvement project runway extension. This is, Barry, did you have anything to add on this? We're just applying for this grant or authorizing the application of the grant?
Yes, sir. So I wrote this, sir, so that we can, so there's two parts to this. One, we have to get the mayor to sign the application, the final application that goes in. That's based on the real bid numbers that we received from the contractor when the project was lit. But I wrote it such that the mayor has the authority also, when the grant agreement comes in, that's the actual commitment to the city of those funds. So the numbers won't change. So what was in the resolution was to go ahead and give him authorization. So when that email comes in, he can go ahead and send it back. We are under a pretty short timeline with the FAA because our project was one towards the end of that. So they really want us to turn that around as quick as we could. So there's actually, there will be two parts of that, but I wrote it in one resolution, sir.
Any questions specifically on this grant?
I'm sorry, sir.
No,
Here's,
go ahead.
the federal grant is 95% grant, and I just want to let you know that the state, although we haven't got a commitment letter, I've got a verbal from them that it'll be 2.5% of that will be state, and the city will only fund 2.5% of that project. So it's 2.5% grant. It used to be 5% last year, and they moved it back to 2.5%, sir.
Nice. So just refresh our memory on the sequencing here. So this is just the relocation?
Yes, sir. So the runway extension project has an extension on both ends of the runway. The one the FAA is focused on right now is towards the bypass, towards downtown. To do that, there is a road that's in the future clear zone or safety area. So the first phase of this project will be realign County Road 606 back to the north a little bit and straighten that line out. We already own that property. It'll be on our property, but the FAA will fund this at 97.5% to relocate that road and to move the utilities that were on the existing roadbed to their new location. So that's what this project is for. The next grant that will come in place will be to do the actual extension of the runway, to add 500 feet to that end of the runway to get us to 5,600 feet, and also redo paving the asphalt and some lighting work and some other stuff that goes with that runway extension.
And then that'll just leave the 400 feet on the other end?
Leave the 400 feet on the other end, and that'll be phase 3. You know, I would hope that they would do that the year after, but it could be possible they ask us to sit out a year or so, and then they'll do that third phase.
So we're looking at a 3-year cycle here.
3 to 4 is what I would guess, sir.
Nice. Any other questions on that? All right, next item's yours too, Barry. Just executing a supplemental agreement for, I believe, an extension of time for the TAP sidewalk project.
Yes, sir. That's just a formality for the TAP grant, just to get that project so we're still moving forward with that, but that's just to get permission to extend that timeline.
All right, then we've got a lease agreement for the Enterprise Business Incubator. Jonathan, is that you?
I can do it. So, council, if you look there, Kevin Selden with Advantage Consulting, he's been in that space before. He's IT consultant, I guess would be the best word for it, but he's also doing some work in like cybersecurity. He wants to continue to renew that space. So he's basically got 2 office spaces in the hallway on the right side of the building, where he's running his business. He has picked up a few contracts, pays, no issues from him as a tenant. So,
And how long has he been in there?
I believe he's been in there close to 3 years.
And our max is typically about 5 years?
5 years, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, any questions? Next item is authorize the fire chief to execute the ARF agreement. I believe this is something that we do every year so that the United Aero Group can keep their contracts.
You are correct. This is just a renew of what we've done ever since originally Arista was out there, now United Aero. Same agreement outlining how they communicate with us and the tasks that we perform for them.
Any questions? All right, next item is a request from our Parks and Recreation Director, Blake Moore, to purchase a Polaris Ranger. I believe this is a budgeted item.
Yes, sir, this is a budgeted item. This will be beneficial to us as we increase our property, especially cutting out at Sheffield and the VA home and now even at Peavy. This is beneficial to eliminate a vehicle from going out there and can help our guys carry equipment and people along fence roads and other places a vehicle can't reach.
All right, any questions of Mr. Moore? All right, thank you. The last item on the agenda is to introduce an ABC license request, so we won't take action on that. That public hearing will be August 19th in 2 weeks. Then we've got an E911 board meeting, so we'll recess and convene in that. Looks like a short E911 meeting. All we've got is the minutes from July 1st and the accounts payable from July. That's all of the E911 board meeting. We'll come back in regular session, have a mayor's report, council member comments, and then we'll adjourn. One thing that I wanted to add there at the end, I was telling Greg this earlier. I know I've briefed all of you on my plans for not this meeting, but the next meeting will be my last meeting, and then this meeting, as we have discussed before, my intentions the whole time was, if y'all remember, to have a transitional council president, and so I'll announce there at the end of the meeting, I'll relinquish my chair and open the floor for nominations to carry us through to the next administration as council president. So that's when we'll plan on doing that.
You said at the end?
Yeah, at the end during council member comments, yeah. Everybody good with that? All right. If y'all will look back with me in the council work session, we've got Main Street signage.
So, Mayor, council members, I was approached by Lily McDaniel, our Main Street Director, about a project that they're, a grant actually, that their Main Street Board and Friends of Main Street were looking at applying for, and how to incorporate that into something that the city does. So the grant would be for people to apply for a grant to get blade signage in front of their buildings. I'm gonna have Lily come up and talk through all that, but in essence, when we looked at our code currently prohibits signage hanging above public sidewalks. And currently, if you notice and have walked down Main Street, there's a lot of signs hanging. So we're not actively enforcing that.
Right.
So in your packets, you'll see an email that I got from Lily and Thomas Hardy that talk about maybe what some language that could modify that or replace that section of code might look like. But before I had, spent more time and energy with our staff to go down this road, I wanted to see if the council would be, amenable to exploring that, or if you felt like, the current code was adequate and we need to start enforcing it and not have those kind of signs on Main Street. So with that, I'm going to invite Lily and Thomas to kind of talk about some of the other issues there and what they're trying to accomplish.
Like Jonathan said, this is proposed a Main Street downtown signage improvement program. Currently, a lot of our businesses do not have a lot of visibility, either from the road or from a far distance, but this blade signage seeks to improve upon that. You can see a blade sign down the sidewalk, you can see it from the road, you get more visibility, you get more foot traffic, and with that more foot traffic, you also have increased sales, you have more job opportunities. Ultimately, this is to support all of our downtown, give them an opportunity to improve upon their signage, but we cannot do that with the current code that we have. The signage would be vetted by our design committee, so it would be consistent, it would be uniform, all the shapes and sizes would be seen by us. There would be nothing unsightly to say, but the plan is to have a program where they can apply for these signs. We approve it, we approve their design, and then they're installed by either an independent vendor, no city involvement. But ultimately, we just want to see a more unified, cohesive downtown, more beautiful, more foot traffic, more visibility.
All right. Everybody understand what is being asked for here? Thomas, did you have anything to add?
Council, so I'll just kind of just briefly read over what the code currently says. So it says it's unlawful for any person to hang or fasten a sign of any description across sidewalks containing the name or style of a person who may be engaged in business within the city. So basically, the only place that we would run into this issue with currently would be downtown, where you have a 0-foot lot line all the way up to the sidewalk. But in the same sentence, we have plenty of signs that hang across the sidewalk. They're fastened correctly, they're installed correctly. The engineering department, we require plans for whenever they're put up to make sure that they are safely secured. We know that people are going to be walking. We want to put safety first in that area. And then just briefly, like Jonathan said, he included you some verbiage that I was able to author, just to kind of put some standards in there that we would have to make sure that they are uniformed, make sure they don't become, a nuisance, or they don't become gaudy of any sense or anything like that. And then all of these, like certain things that are in there, like the 16 square foot, that's always up for debate. If it's too big, if it needs to be smaller, that type of thing.
All right. Everybody good with these recommendations? Seem reasonable? All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Next item are some new engineering positions.
Okay. So, council members, if you recall, during our last couple of budget meetings and annually at our strategic planning meetings, you ask us to look at our organizational chart. So we had done that about a year and a half ago, and we started down the path and presented that into last year's budget. And again, at the strategic planning meeting, I think you've all seen the org chart. Our city continues to grow. We continue to add programs of emphasis that the council has supported, like nuisance properties, more and more development, more and more complex issues. And so we looked at, we have an assistant engineer, but what is Thomas in that role doing today? And what do we have, what do we need bandwidth on today as well? And then what kind of workload does that have in other areas? So when it comes down, and I'm going to let Barry come and talk about that, but both of those job descriptions for a assistant city engineer and a city planner are in your packets. But what I heard from our staff, from Barry, is that I need some help with our plans to help run calculations for stormwater runoff, to actually do the engineering part. And we have sometimes not always had someone in that engineering office that could do that. We also have what Thomas has been doing, which is planning and zoning predominantly. We've had an influx of that, and we've also added different programs, like I mentioned, nuisance properties, weed abatement, all those kind of things that require additional resources and time. And so that was why we structured the org chart like that, and why we think these two positions need to be created or amended. And so they're in there for your review with the duties and descriptions that they've outlined, but I'd like Barry to come up and talk about kind of his vision for the department. And again, these were things that you had contemplated in the budget already last year.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, as you said, that coming to you tonight is not lightly thought out. I've been looking at the engineering department since I've been on board as your city engineer for roughly 4.5 years, and always trying to be adaptive and be flexible to meet the needs of what the requirements are of the engineering department. And we talked about this last time at the strategic planning, I guess at the budget hearings last time, about whether to go ahead and pull the trigger on creating a planner and an assistant city engineer. I think it's at the point now that I don't see that the workload is going to go down. It continues to stress our abilities to give good service to the customers that we serve, namely the citizens of the city. But also, as we're seeing these developments come in, they're smaller lots, they're tighter lots, they come with a whole list of issues that we have to make sure that we do it right on the front end. In my opinion, creating these two positions that are rifle focused on what they should be focused on. The planner focus on zoning, permitting, inspections, and then the assistant city engineer focused on the construction plans, supporting what they need in the planning department for as far as subdivision reviews, that sort of thing, and also be able to continue doing the things that we have been doing for the last couple of years, and possibly adding a little bit of bandwidth there. We've shown that we can cut millions of dollars off of a project like PV Park because we do that work in-house. So having those capabilities would I think would pay off dividends for the city from now on. It's my recommendation at this point that we go ahead and create these two positions and separate those roles so that the assistant city engineer would be a licensed engineer with a degree. Says, you can see what's in your job description packet. Somebody that could walk in the door and could be able to immediately help us out in that department. Also, the city planner would be focused on the things that the city planner should be focused on and not have to worry about doing stormwater calculations or trying to review those as well. They would work together, but the org chart would be that this, underneath me, assistant city engineer, and then the planner would report under him and the staff as accordingly. And I'm just asking if I had your support to move forward with creating those two positions and eliminating that assistant director of engineering services and breaking that into two different roles that I think are a lot more needed for exactly what I think the engineering department needs to move us forward into the future.
So while we're adding two positions, it's from a headcount standpoint, it's one
It'll be
body.
a net of one, yes, sir.
All right, any questions on that? I know we've talked about this before, we budgeted for it. So, of course, we can talk more about it in our budget hearings next week if we need to.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Barry. Any other items from staff, Jonathan, council members? Anything else in work session? All right, we will adjourn our work session and be back in about 20 minutes for our council meeting. If you would, please stand with me for the opening prayer and Pledge of Allegiance. We've got Mr. Corbin Griffin from Bethany Baptist Church to lead us in opening prayer. Mr. Griffin? Mayor, would you mind leading us in opening prayer?
May we pray. Most gracious and heavenly Father, we want to thank Thee for this day and thank Thee for the many blessings Thou hast bestowed upon us. As we go into this meeting, dear Lord, and we're representing the city of Enterprise and doing things that will move the city forward. Father, we just ask You for strength and understanding and moving in the right direction. And we'll be going the last mile of the way. Give us a home somewhere in the kingdom we can praise Thy name forever. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, Council, you should have the agenda in front of you that we discussed in the prior work session. We'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
I move to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the City Council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request of a member of the City Council. I now call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we'll now recognize Mayor Cooper, who will present a certificate of achievement to Lucas Garrard in recognition of winning the inaugural Alabama State National Civics Bee. Mayor Cooper.
We're thrilled to celebrate an incredible young man who won the inaugural Alabama State National Civics Bee, Mr. Lucas Garrard. Lucas is a student at Dauphin Junior High. He recently won first place at the State Civics Bee, a tremendous accomplishment that speaks volumes about his dedication, character, and knowledge of our nation's civic values. Out of students across the state, Lucas rose to the top not just by answering tough questions, but by demonstrating a strong understanding of what it means to be an engaged and informed citizen. And now he is heading to Washington, D.C. to represent Enterprise, Dauphin Junior High, Enterprise City Schools, and the state of Alabama in the national championship this fall. Lucas, your passion for civics and your personal platform of supporting our veterans is inspiring. You have made your school, your community, and your state incredibly proud. We know you will shine on the national stage, and we can't wait to see what the future holds for you. On behalf of the City of Enterprise, congratulations, Lucas. We are so proud of you.
All right, thank you, Mayor Cooper and Blake, for that. We've also got a presentation of Extra Mile Award. So I'll now recognize Mayor Cooper and Parks and Recreation Director Blake Moore, who will present an Extra Mile Award to Lila Falk in recognition of her dedication and support to the Main Street Enterprise Program.
Lila, I'll ask you to come on down. Today, we are proud to recognize an exceptional young woman, Lila Falk, with the Extra Mile Award. Lila served as an intern with Main Street Enterprise,
but the title intern hardly does justice to the impact she made during her time with the program. When the Main Street Director position became vacant earlier this year, Lila stepped up in an extraordinary way. She took on the responsibilities of a full-time director while continuing to manage her schoolwork, extracurricular activities, and other commitments as a high school senior. During a time of transition, Lila went far and beyond the expectations of an intern. Her work played a vital role in the success of key events such as Mardi Gras in Maine, and her creative outreach through social media kept our downtown businesses in the spotlight. And on a personal note, if you don't know the type of family Lila comes from, it's a first-class family. Her father's sitting right over there. He's one of my right-hand guys, Mr. Blake Falk. And I can tell you right now, when I took on the job of Director for Community Services and Recreation and found out we didn't have a lot of staffing at the time when I took the role and we were without a Main Street Director, I knew that I could count on Lila Falk because of the type of person she is and the type of family she comes from. Lila, your drive, work ethic, and heart for service are remarkable. You have gone above and beyond your role, and in doing so, you have made a lasting impact on our downtown, our city, and the people who call Enterprise home. On behalf of Mayor Cooper, the City Council, and the residents of Enterprise, I want to thank you for going the extra mile. We are proud to recognize you today and excited to see what your future holds.
Thank you, Mayor Cooper and Blake. Right, now is privilege of the floor. This is the part of the meeting where anyone in attendance tonight who wishes to address the council may do so for 3 minutes. If there is a public hearing on the agenda for the topic you are concerned with, please wait until that public hearing opens to address the council. If they choose, staff, mayor, and council will respond to your comments during the appointed times later in the meeting. Repetitive, disruptive, and disparaging comments will not be tolerated. If you are found out of order, your privileges can and will be revoked. Does anyone wish to address the council at this time? All right, seeing no one, we'll move on to staff reports. Are there any staff reports that were unable to be given in the work session? Yes, sir. Barry?
Yes, sir. Hey, this is really for, I guess I'm proud for it, but also maybe some of our employees that watch this online. We did get the rear striping completed tonight behind City Hall, which is where the employees parked, and we sent out an email late this afternoon saying, one more day on the grass, please, and then you can park in the new parking lot on Thursday. So we will be, in the morning, removing the barricades off of Mill Avenue and the rear parking. So if the employees are watching on YouTube, or if you're in the audience, you can park in the rear parking lot in the morning. So that's a great success.
All right.
Thank you.
Great, Barry. Thank you. Any other staff reports? All right, don't see anyone. We'll move on to old business. It's a public hearing consideration of ABC license request for Dickey's Barbecue Pit. I call for a public hearing prior to consideration of a request from D&D Enterprise LLC, doing business as Dickey's Barbecue Pit, for a restaurant retail liquor license located at 847 Bowleville Circle, Suite 117. Excuse me. This public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this request? All right, seeing no one, we will close the hearing, and I will entertain a motion to consider approving the ABC license request.
I move to approve the ABC license request as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the ABC license request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now move on to new business. First item is the approval of the FY 2024 financial audit. I call for a motion to approve the FY 2024 City of Enterprise financial statements as presented by Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, LLC. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the FY 2024 financial audit as presented.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve the FY 2024 financial audit as presented. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now introduce the Planning Commission recommendations. I introduce for the record a recommendation from the Enterprise Planning Commission to approve the following. A request by Boyd Engineering, LLC, on behalf of Stephen Howard Franks and Randy Frank Shannon to rezone 83 acres from AG, which is Agricultural District, to R1, which is Low Density Single Family Residential District, located on County Road 700 near the intersection of AL 27. A request by Boyd Engineering, LLC, on behalf of Stephen Howard Franks and Randy Frank Shannon to annex and zone 13.71 acres to R1, Low Density Single Family Residential District, located on County Road 700 near the intersection of AL 27. Also a request by Boyd Engineering, LLC, on behalf of Stephen Howard Franks and Randy Frank Shannon to annex and zone 17.99 acres to R1, Low Density Single Family Residential District, located on County Road 700 near the intersection of AL 27. Additionally, we'll introduce ordinance 080525, which is the Franks and Shannon rezone. I introduce ordinance 080525, providing for the rezoning of 83 acres of land owned by Stephen Howard Franks and Randy Frank Shannon from AG Agriculture District to R1 Low Density Single Family Residential District, located on County Road 700 near the intersection of AL 27. I call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for September 2nd, 2025. Now we'll introduce ordinance 080525A, which is the Franks and Shannon annexation and zoning parcel 1. I introduce ordinance 080525A, providing for the annexation and zoning of 13.71 acres of land owned by Stephen Howard Franks and Randy Frank Shannon into the city limits and to establish zoning of R1 Low Density Single Family Residential District. I call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for September 2nd, 2025. Now we'll introduce ordinance 080525B, the Franks and Shannon annexation and zoning parcel 2. I introduce ordinance 080525B, providing for the annexation and zoning of 17.99 acres of land owned by Stephen Howard Franks and Randy Frank Shannon into the city limits and to establish zoning of R1 Low Density Single Family Residential District. I call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for September 2nd, 2025. We will now review and consider Resolution 080525, the appointment of election officers. I introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 080525, providing for the appointment of election officers for the August 26, 2025 regular municipal election and runoff election, if necessary, on September 23, 2025, as provided by Section 114627 of the Code of Alabama 1975, as follows. Chief Inspector, Barbara Goodson. Returning Officer, Heather Luna. Chief Clerk, Paul English, Jr. Provisional Ballot Clerk, Michelle Parrott. Absentee Clerks, as follows. Absentee Inspector, Mary Sue Kane. Absentee Clerk, Shanice Stamps. Absentee Clerk, Dorothy Richardson. Absentee Clerk, Jay Walters. Absentee Clerk, Diane Walters. Registration Clerks as follows. Yolanda Austin and Linda Rogers. Poll officials by district are appointed as follows. District 1 Clerks, Pinky McSwain, Leslie Olson, Henry Petty Jr., and Sonia Dixon, who's an alternate. District 2 Clerks, Melody Baker, James Baker, Heather Jones, and Dale Monahan, who is an alternate. District 3 Clerks as follows. Kay Zayas, Elise Wilson, Patrick Laidlaw, and Sarah Dial, who is an alternate. District 4 Clerks as follows. Jan Weaver, Deborah Boyd, Tina Lewis, and Aletha Solomon, who's an alternate. District 5 Clerks, Tanya Kaminsky, Lisa Winders, William Carter, and Chris Bokenfor, who's an alternate. And then alternates at large, LaPonce Harrison, Fernando Zayas, Ruby Fernandez, Michelle English, and Butch Daniel. Do I hear a motion?
Move move to adopt Resolution 080525.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 080525. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now consider accepting a grant and authorizing the mayor to execute grant documents for airport improvement project and runway extension. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from City Engineer, Public Works Director Barry Mott to accept a grant from the Federal Aviation Administration and the Alabama Department of Transportation for the relocation of County Road 606 in connection with the runway extension project at the Enterprise Municipal Airport. Further request is made to authorize the mayor to execute any and all agreements and documents relative to the project upon review by the city attorney. The total cost of the project is estimated at $2,460,590, with $2,399,075 covered by federal and state grant funding. The city's financial commitment will not exceed $61,515. Do I hear a motion?
I move to accept the grant and further authorize the mayor to execute any and all documents related to the project upon reviewed by the city attorney.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the grant and further authorize the mayor to execute the documents. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now authorize the mayor to execute supplemental agreement number 2 for the 2022 TAP Sidewalk Project. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute supplemental agreement number 2 between the City of Enterprise and Lewis Incorporated for the construction of sidewalks along Delville Avenue, project number TAPAA-TA22931. The agreement grants a time extension to Lewis Incorporated for 25 working days for substantial completion of the project. Do I hear a motion?
Move to authorize the mayor to execute supplemental agreement number 2 as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to execute supplemental agreement number 2 as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement for the Enterprise Business Incubator with Kelvin Selden. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement on behalf of the City of Enterprise with Kelvin Selden and Advantage Consulting and Solutions, LLC, for the lease of office space within the Enterprise Business Incubator located at 102 Commerce Drive as per the terms of the lease agreement. Do I hear a motion?
Move to authorize the mayor to execute the lease agreement as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to execute the lease agreement as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider authorizing the fire chief to execute a memorandum of agreement with United Aero Group of Alabama regarding ARF services. I call for a motion to authorize the fire chief to execute a memorandum of agreement with United Aero Group Alabama for aircraft rescue and firefighting emergency services at Enterprise Municipal Airport. The agreement lays out the procedures in the event of a potential or actual emergency on or near the hangar operations of UAG Alabama. The term of the agreement is for 1 year. Do I hear a motion?
I move to authorize the fire chief to execute the memorandum of agreement as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to authorize the fire chief to execute the memorandum of agreement as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now consider a request of permission to purchase equipment from Parks and Recreation regarding a Polaris Ranger. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Parks and Recreation Director Blake Moore to purchase one Polaris Ranger Crew SP 570 in the amount of $14,094 from Dowling Truck and Tractor. The equipment is an FY 2025 budgeted item. Do I hear a motion?
Move to authorize the purchase request is submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to authorize the purchase request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now introduce the ABC license request for Los Hermanos Mexican Restaurant. I introduce a request from Zaroga Family 2 LLC doing business as Los Hermanos Mexican Restaurant for a restaurant retail liquor license located at 4 North Point Parkway. I also call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for August 19th, 2025. We will now recess our regular session of the Enterprise City Council and convene into the E911 board meeting. Let the record show that all members of the E911 board meeting are present. We will now review the minutes of the July 1st, 2025 meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the July 1st, 2025 E911 board meeting minutes as written.
Move to approve the E911 board meeting minutes as written.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the E911 board meeting minutes as written. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have no old business. We have one item of new business, accounts payable A for July 2025. I call for a motion to approve accounts payable A for July 2025 in the amount of $1,126.30. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve accounts payable A for July 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve accounts payable A for July 2025. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we'll reconvene in regular session of the Enterprise City Council and give it over to the mayor for his report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to take a moment to recognize the energy and momentum building across our city. It is an exciting time in Enterprise, and I'm proud of that all this is being done, not just by the council, but by our dedicated staff, department heads, and the citizens who care deeply about this community. First, I would like to extend a special invitation to join us next Monday, August 11th at 9 a.m. for the grand opening and ribbon cutting of the newly renovated Enterprise City Hall. This project has been a long time coming, and we are proud to welcome residents back into a space designed to better serve you. Looking ahead, our annual budget workshop is scheduled for Wednesday, August 14th. Always look forward to hearing directly from our department heads and working with the council to align our budget with the goals and priorities of this community. Our work is far from done, but I'm confident that together we'll continue to make smart investments in infrastructure, quality of life projects, and the future of Enterprise. Speaking of the quality of life, the American Sweet Tea Festival, the Alabama Sweet Tea Festival is back Saturday, August 11th at the Civic Center and the Festival Field. This fun-filled event has quickly become a community favorite, and we look forward to welcoming visitors to experience a taste of Enterprise hospitality. And finally, tomorrow is the first day of school in Enterprise City School. As a former educator, I know the excitement and the nerve that come with the new year. We have an excellent school system, and I was proud to join the faculty for their kickoff last week. I want to wish all students, teachers, and staff a safe and successful school year. To our drivers, please remember to slow down in our neighborhoods and school zones. Where there's a ball, often there's a child close behind. Let's all do our part to keep our children safe. Thank you, and may God continue to bless the city of Enterprise.
Ms. Rich?
Thank everyone for coming tonight. Certainly want to congratulate Lucas and Lila on your rewards and your accomplishments. We appreciate all that you are doing to put our city on the map, Mr. Lucas. And Ms. Lila, we appreciate your hard work. Thank everyone for coming tonight.
Mr. Coolsby?
I would also like to congratulate Lucas and Lila. It's a privilege to have young people like this in our city. And for all of you who are coming out to see the ribbon cutting next Monday of the City Hall, if you haven't been watching all the progress, you're really going to be surprised, and I can't wait for everybody to see the progress we've made. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight.
Mr. Paget?
I'd like to welcome, also join my colleagues in congratulating Lucas and Lila tonight for their accomplishments. And Wonderful things are happening across our city. Been a lot of ribbon cuttings in the last couple of weeks, more to come. And as Mr. Goolsby just said, City Hall is looking great. I walked around in there the other day, so if you have an opportunity to come to that ribbon cutting, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at all the changes that have happened if you haven't been there lately.
Mr. Johnson?
There we go. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and thank you for all those that are watching online. Congratulations, Lucas. I know you're going to put Enterprise on the map when you get up to D.C. I was stationed up there for a while. It's a big city, so be careful. And Lila, thank you so very much, there you are, for all that you've done for our city. And I'd like to thank our city staff all the time. They're out there day, night, heat, everything else. They're doing a great job. But one thing I want to remind everybody is I attended the first of the 173rd Infantry deployment ceremony the other day. And as a veteran, I've been part of those on many, many deployments. And sitting there next to some of the spouses, in fact, the lady next to me, her husband's a captain, and I asked about the baby, a 3-week-old baby. And the first of 173rd is headed off to Egypt. We have 1 firefighter and 2 policemen that are part of that unit. And my recommendation was made is that when I was deployed, I always liked to get letters. Nowadays, with computers and everything, it's easy to get that information over. Back when I was deploying a lot, we didn't have that. But letters really mean a lot to folks, so we need to make sure we get the names of our city staff that have going to be or getting ready to deploy. I think it's Tuesday. Keep them in your prayers. Keep the families and the spouses in your prayers, especially the kids, because it's a rough time when their husbands or wives in that group. And there was over 200 folks on that stage that are going. So please be with them. And I'll echo the mayor. Be careful out there on the streets with the kids going back to school, and watch the school buses. Stop. Don't pass them. Nobody's in a hurry. All right. Thank you very much. God bless. Have a great night.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add. From what my colleague said, certainly agree with everything. Congratulations to everyone tonight. I do have a brief announcement, and then we'll have a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. But as we discussed in the prior work session, and I've discussed with all of my colleagues individually, my last day as a councilman, I'm going to be stepping away on August 31st, the last day of this month. But this meeting tonight will be my last as council president. So at the conclusion of this meeting, I'm resigning my seat as council president. So as my last acts as council president, I'm going to open the floor to nominations to replace me as council president.
Mr. President, I nominate Greg Padgett to be our council president.
All right, and any other nominations? All right, hearing none, I will close those nominations, and I will entertain a motion to elect Greg Padgett at the conclusion of this meeting to council president. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion that we accept Greg Padgett as the next council president.
All right.
Second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Padgett. And just so everybody knows that we'll be through the end of this term, which concludes at the end of October, and then the next council will obviously have an organizational session where they will decide how to proceed. So with that, we will stand adjourned until 5 p.m. Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. See you then.
Does anyone want us?
I think we have something to sign, but as soon as I'm done with that, absolutely. We have something I'm supposed to sign?
Yeah, I read